Today I'm going to show you guys how to do some basic maintenance on a Yamaha PW50. It's going to be the same for all models. You do want to reference your manual for the intervals. Let's get started. To get this done, you're going to need some common hand tools, and that includes a torque wrench and spark plug wrench. We're also using some safety glasses, rubber gloves, rags, a drain pan, and a measuring cup. So we've got our Tusk 2-stroke oil change kit. It comes with enough funnels and crush washers and oil to get this job done 3 times. You can choose which type of oil you want. We also need some silicone spray, contact cleaner. We've got the 2-stroke oil, the injector oil, some grease, a spark plug, and we're going to need to clean up the air filter. It's always a good idea to have a spare air filter, but at a minimum, you want some air filter oil and cleaner. We're going to start by checking the spark plug. So remove the spark plug cap, and we've got our spark plug wrench. And this is just a 13/16 inch wrench, if you wanted to know. We're just going to unthread it and thread the new one in place. And you just need to tighten this down. There is a torque spec in your manual. I think it's 14 foot-pounds, but we're just going to snug it up. Now on these NGK spark plugs, they come with a cap that unscrews. You're going to have to do that on these PWs. And we'll just push the cap back on. Now for the injector oil, you've got the tank behind the number plate. You want to make sure if you get anywhere near this low mark, you want to top that off just with some 2-stroke injector oil like this Bel Ray. And to add the oil, you just need to remove that cap on top. Next, I'm going to check the tire pressures. You should have 15 psi front and rear. And when you're checking them, just take a look at your tires. If they're worn down or if you have cracks or anything like that in them, you want to get them replaced. Next, we're going to lube our pivots. For the foot pegs and the kickstart pivot, I'm using silicone spray. And then the levers, if you want to use grease, that's the best way, but you can use either the silicone spray up there or even a light penetrating oil. Now we can change the transmission oil. We're using our 12mm socket to remove our drain plug. And while it's draining, we're going to remove the oil fill cap and clean it up. Going to remove that old crush washer and clean up the drain plug as well. And I'll wipe down the sealing surface. I'm going to install the new crush washer onto the drain bolt. We'll thread that in and torque it to 10 foot-pounds. Then we can fill this back up with 300 milliliters of oil and then reinstall that oil fill cap. Next, we can go over the speed limiters. So that's going to be on your throttle housing, and it's just a screw with a jam nut on it. And you can adjust that to control how far the throttle opens. That way, if your child is very new to riding, you can keep those speeds down. And then as they get better, slowly and progressively move that screw out. Once the screw is all the way out, then you can remove the power reduction plate that is in the exhaust. That's really simple to do. All you need to do is remove your seat by taking out the 2 bolts in the back. Then for the exhaust, you have 1 bolt in the silencer and a hose clamp that you need to remove. After that, you have 3 bolts in the pipe. You can see our reduction plate is already removed, but if yours isn't, you can clamp the reduction plate in the vise using a couple of sockets on each side, and then tap the gasket off with a screwdriver. Then reinstall the gasket and exhaust. From here, you can reinstall everything in the same way that you took it off. And I always recommend using a new gasket when you go back together. Now I'm going to check the air filter. So right in front of this left rear shock, we have the air filter cover. I'm going to use a number 3 Phillips screwdriver to remove the screw that is in the center. Then we can pull the cap out the side. You're going to have to press down on the Kickstarter to do that. So you can see the filter does have a little bit of dirt on there. It's not the worst, but we're going to clean it off anyway. So you just pull that off. And you want to make sure there's no dirt in here. And if there is, you just want to wipe it out. You can use a little bit of contact cleaner on a rag to help you do that. And if you're seeing a lot of dirt in here, you're going to want to inspect the air box and make sure there's no cracks in it. Now really quick, we want to do an inspection on the air filter. You just want to check it for any tears. Sometimes when these get old, they start to crumble apart. So if the foam is coming apart or you see any other damage, definitely get it replaced. So I'm going to open up the cleaning tub. I'm just going to drop this in and let it soak for 10 to 15 minutes. Now once it's soaked, you just kind of want to work that cleaner in just a little bit. And then once you've worked the cleaner in, you don't want to wring it out, but you can squeeze out any of that cleaner. We're going to rinse it off in some soapy water and let it dry. Once the air filter is completely dry, you're going to want to apply some air filter oil to it. And we're just covering both sides and then squeezing out any excess oil. Make sure you get that oil worked on evenly. And with this, you can see we still have a lot on there, so I'm just going to lightly roll this in a rag just to get a little excess off the surfaces. And this is what you want. If you can see the oily webs, you're good to go. Now we can reinstall the air filter. Just pay attention to the 2 cutouts and the 3 locating holes. Now we can reinstall our cover and that screw. Now for the brake adjustment, the manual is going to give you a measurement for how far the lever should come in. But one of the main things you want to do is have the rear wheel off the ground, and you can adjust the adjuster in until you feel a slight drag. And then I usually back the adjuster off 3 clicks from there. Then pull on the lever and just verify that you have a little bit of free play before the brakes engage. It's going to be the same process for the front brake as well. Now we can adjust the throttle cable by loosening the jam nut and turning the adjuster in or out until you have about 1.5 to 3.5 millimeters of free play in the throttle grip. Once you have that, you can tighten down the jam nut. When it comes to bearings, we're going to show you how to check the wheel bearings as well as the steering stem bearings. Now to check the steering stem bearings, I've gone ahead and raised the front wheel off the ground just using a scissor jack. All we're going to do is check for any play up here. So an easy way to do that is turn these bearings to the stop all the way one direction. And I'm going to lift on the fork and try to rock these back and forth. So these feel solid, but if you feel any play, you know you need to make some adjustments. The other thing you want to check for is if the races are notched out, or maybe some of those ball bearings are corroded and have flat spots or whatever. So we're going to rotate the bars from lock to lock and see if the bars try to stop anywhere or if they feel notchy. If they feel notchy or want to click in one position, a lot of times that'll be going straight forward, then you know you need to replace those. We've got a separate how-to video that guides you through that process. Now, while we have the front end of the machine raised, we're we're gonna check these front wheel bearings. So number one, you wanna rotate the wheel, make sure it rotates freely and smooth, which it does. And we're also gonna take the wheel and try to rock it side to side and check for any play. Next, I'm gonna check the critical fasteners and make sure they're all tight. These are things like axle nuts, exhaust bolts, motor mounts, triple clamps, and you also want to go through and check any other fastener that is easily accessible. Now, if your bike is running fine, you probably don't need to adjust your idle, but if it seems like it's too high, what you need to do is take a flat blade screwdriver. You're going to turn the idle screw on the side right here. You're going to go counterclockwise with that until the bike just barely idles on its own and almost wants to die. And then you can go about a half a turn in from there. That's it for the basic maintenance on the Yamaha PW50. If you need any parts for your PW, click the link in the description below, and that's going to take you over to our website. We offer free shipping on orders over $75, so take advantage of that. Now, if you want to see more helpful content on your PW50, then you're going to want to take advantage of our other how-to videos. So go over to the channel, subscribe, and we're going to catch you guys next time.